Hello, hello. Hey, Arlene. How you doing? I'm glad you're joining us tonight. Where are you living at, Arlene? How's the weather out there? I don't think you're in Florida, right? Are you in Florida? Hey, Marcy. I'm doing both. I got my personal phone on my PC Ministries page, and my computer, I have my personal page, and in my phone, I have PC Ministries. So I'm going like this. Oh, you in Arkansas? How's the weather out there? And how you doing, Marcy? We're gonna get started in a few minutes, y'all. I'm sipping on tea. Haven't been feeling too good last couple of days. Hey, Siobhan, thank you for sharing, beautiful. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I hope everybody didn't have too much damage. I hope if your power was out, I hope it's been restored. So it's warm today. Should be cold. Oh, okay. So do you like the cold weather or the warm weather? I love cold weather. I don't like freezing weather, but I like the cold, cooler. Like this is my favorite part of the year. Favorite part of the year. I'm just happy all the time. Hopefully everybody's power, if you're in Brevard and Volusia and these areas that was hit by Nicole, or you like warm. I don't like all that sweat. Um, so hopefully everybody's power is on. I know a few people in Brevard County, their power was out, and I saw a few posts were saying that their power has been restored. So hopefully you all haven't had too much damage. We just had a lot of debris, but I tell you, that wind was something else, wasn't it? That wind was something else. I was out on I took Sudafed. I was on Robitussin and Mucinex. I heard it, but I didn't hear it. So y'all pray for your girl. She feeling a little, I don't know if this is sinusy or what, but nonetheless. Oh, you was in Florida. You can come say hi to the people.
Hey to the people.
Come say hi to the people. Oh, you was in Florida last week. I'm in my pants. This is my daughter saying hi, y'all.
Hey.
I'm right around the corner from your mom. You should have came over and said hello. You listening in tonight? Oh, on unforgiveness. You need to unforgive. You need to unforgive. So we're gonna get started in a few minutes, y'all. Got a good topic tonight. A very good topic. A very good topic. I'm sipping on some tea with some ginger. My girl, Gigi Lewis, told me to get some ginger root, some tea, and some lemon. And that's what I ran out and got. My husband ran out and got me this morning. So it's doing the job. So thank you, Gigi. We're gonna get started. What time is it? Hold on. Oh, just a few more minutes. It's 8:05. Get started in a few minutes. And I am getting off at 9. We will not go past 9 o'clock. That is not my goal. If I have to do a part 2, I'll do a part 2, but we will not go to 9:30 tonight. I know the topic be good, but we will not. We're going to have to stick to the time. I don't want it to be too long and wear the people out. Hey, my beautiful classmate, Karen. How are you? How are you feeling? You recovering good? I'm on both phones, y'all, so y'all got to work with me. Okay, because I can't see. It's going to be a part. I know, right? We turn this fan on. I always say that we're not going to be on here and then it be a part 2. Yeah, it's probably going to have to be a part 2. Because unforgiveness goes a long way, don't it? And we struggle with it. Okay, well, make sure you following the doctor's orders, Karen. And if there's anything, well, you already know that. Just let me know. And I know you got, yes, he is. He is amazingly good. And he's there every step of the way of this journey that we're on. So be encouraged. I know you're following the doctor's orders and doing everything they're telling you to do, along with prayer and supplication. And you know I'm praying for you. But yeah, this unforgiveness goes a long way, don't it? A long way, and it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go for everybody. It's not just, some people got it and some don't, but forgiveness is hard for a lot of people. This is one of the topics someone asked me to do a live session on. So I like to meet the needs of my listeners, those that support PC Ministries. I'm here to meet needs. So if you have a topic that you want me to discuss, let me know in the comments, or you can inbox me. If you got my number, you can text me and I'll pray about it. And I'm sure God will have me do it, but it'll just give me what to say and help me with my research on it to be thorough and anointed. So whatever topic you all have that you want to see discussed here, just let me know as I speak with him. I know you do, girl, and I feel all the prayers. Pray one for another. And I appreciate you. Well, y'all, we're going to go ahead and get started. People will be popping on, I'm sure, as they do every week as we go throughout this topic. But I want to thank you all for tuning in to PC Ministries, where we deal with what you feel from the inside out. I say every week that I do not come to you because I have arrived or I have all the answers. I come by mere experience and anointing. God is my teacher. God is my maker, and he gives me these topics and he gives me these studies to go by, and he anoints me, and I say what he has me to say and nothing more. So I thank you all for tuning in. I pray that everybody is safe and didn't have too much damage from the hurricane. If you were in the path of hurricane or tropical storm or whatever it was, Nicole, that you didn't have too much damage. So tonight we want to talk about forgiveness. I'm put my glasses on because my eyes are 54, y'all. Want to talk about forgiveness. What is your definition of forgiveness? Put your definition of forgiveness in the comments. I would love to see what your definition is as I go on. What is your definition? Let me put that in there too. What is your definition of forgiveness? Okay, I put it down there. Um, because a lot of times we're being asked to forgive, or we're dealing with unforgiveness, and we don't really know that we are dealing with unforgiveness. We don't really know a lot of times why we can't forgive, why we're not forgiven, whatever the reasons are. But a lot of us are dealing with a lot of unforgiveness. Again, I am a transformation coach. So if anybody needs some transformation coaches from the inside out, I am not a therapist. I am not a counselor. I am a mentor and a transformation coach. Sometimes people, what I'm finding that people cannot always afford therapy through their insurance or counseling. So I'm your next best thing. Give me a shot if you need some help healing from the inside out with some of your issues. Again, I mentor a lot of women and I coach a lot of women, and through these platforms, I have noticed that, and it's not just women, that a lot of people struggle with forgiveness. Even though they don't deal with the people or the job or the place or the thing anymore, they're still holding on to a hurt or a bitterness or a resentment towards that person, place, thing, situation, or what have you. They're still holding on to it because it's a sore spot. So let me explain to you. Hold on, let me get my notes together. There we go. Got them all backwards, y'all. So y'all put your definition of forgiveness in the comments so I can see what you say forgiveness is. There's no wrong answer. I just want to see what your definition of forgiveness is as I go forward. A lot of people have lost their marriages and relationships because of unforgiveness. They've lost their families, their jobs, their businesses. Their health has been affected, all because they've allowed unforgiveness and grudges and resentment to grow deep inside and rule their lives. So again, when we're talking about unforgiveness has the capability to turn into resentment, grudges, bitterness, jealousy. It's attached to all of that. And a lot of the times, unforgiveness is rooted in hurt. We've been hurt by somebody. We've been betrayed by somebody. We've been frustrated by somebody. What have you. And that's kind of what starts the unforgiveness, and it wraps it up in hurt. And then we become bitter, and then we start resenting these people, places, or things, or what have you. And then, sometimes we don't even forgive ourselves. Sometimes I think I read something a while back where it said we have to forgive our younger self for what we knew when we were young. The same mistakes I made when I was 20, I have to forgive some of those mistakes because I only was doing what I knew at that age. So we don't want the unforgiveness to turn into regret. If we're not careful, we're dealing with forgiveness of self, it can turn into regret. And then that's not healthy either. Somebody said, Nisi said, her definition of forgiveness is being able to move past what someone has done to you. Yes, ma'am. Karen said, some have unforgiveness for themselves. Yes. Someone sorry. Yes. Also, absolutely right. And that's what it is. We just can't let it go. And a lot of times, some unforgiveness is justified. And just because it's justifiable as it pertains to what was done does not mean you holding on to it is right. You holding on to it is healthy. Like the Bible says in Mark 11, she said, when you stand and praying and forgive, you want to make sure that if you have anything against anyone, when you pray, you want to, wait a minute, let me make sure I'm saying it right. said Mark 11:25, and whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you of your trespasses. So the Bible is telling us that we have to forgive because God so freely forgave us. And we ain't always done right. Have we offended God? Have we done something? And God forgives us. So he's telling us that in order for us to be forgiven, we have to also forgive. Arlene said, knowing whatever the issue was, you can truly admit in your heart that there is no ill feeling in our hearts for that person. For example, I truly forgive the person that killed my husband. Oh man, Arlene, that is big. That is big for you to be able to forgive that person that killed your husband. You have to do a teaching on that one. I couldn't do a teaching on that one because I can't imagine the hurt and the I can't imagine that. But what you said in your comment is that truly being able to truly admit in your heart, and that's what I want to talk about tonight. How does unforgiveness, I know it did take time because I know it is, because that's a hard one, but that's what I want to dive into tonight. Hey Misha, how does unforgiveness affect your life? For those of us that are dealing with, and I like to say us because I don't like to say those of you that's dealing with it and I this, and I don't like to do that. So I always say us to make this inclusive, to let everybody know that we all are working on this together. So that's why I say us all the time. I'm not going to ever just say you, and I, I'm not going to do that because I want this to be inclusive of us encouraging and motivating each other to work these things out together. But how does unforgiveness, what did Teresa say? Strong faith, and a lot of prayer and strong faith, Arlene. Yeah, girl, we're gonna have to bring you on and do a topic on that one. Just that, because that's major, right there, major. But let's talk about how unforgiveness affects our life. Sometimes we get so stuck in pain that we can't imagine forgiveness. Like going through what Arlene has gone through, I haven't gone through it. So I can't even imagine having to forgive a person for murdering my spouse. I can't even imagine that. So sometimes we get so stuck in pain. Just imagine yourself being in pain. We get so stuck in it that we can't even imagine forgiveness, that we don't even think about forgiving someone because we're so hurt and stuck in what happened to me and what they did and how they did it and who they did it with, and I can't believe this and all of that. We can get so stuck in that we don't even try to move towards forgiveness. So we're not even in the place or the mind frame to even imagine forgiveness. And we spend years trying to forgive, but then we allow bitterness and offense to keep resurfacing. Have anybody tried to forgive, but then bitterness and the offense and the hurt and all that just keeps resurfacing? Has anybody dealt with that? Because that's the trick of the enemy, and that's what his job is, to keep us in unforgiveness, to keep us in bitterness and resentment and hurt. That's his job. Thank you, Arlene. That's his job, is to keep us there. Unforgiveness allows a root of bitterness to grow. A root of bitterness. And we know what a root is. A root is a part of a plant that provide. Y'all know I love definitions. So like I said, unforgiveness allows a root of bitterness to grow. Forgiveness prevents a root of bitterness from growing. Okay? So when we forgive, we prevent the root of bitterness. But if we don't forgive and we operate in unforgiveness, it allows a root of bitterness to grow. Definition: root. Root is the part of a plant that provides water and nourishment. So take that and put that with unforgiveness. If a root of unforgiveness is growing in our life because of whatever, that root is providing water and nourishment to that hurt, to that bitterness, to that hatred, to that anger, to that resentment. It's providing that. By us operating in unforgiveness, it provides nourishment. It keeps it fed. Okay? Root is also a basic cause or a source or origin of something. Okay? To root, to cause something to root, is to establish it deeply and firm. So when we allow unforgiveness, we are allowing it to establish itself deep and firm, to settle itself in our hearts and our minds and our way of thinking. That's what unforgiveness does in our lives. Now, again, we're not saying what happened, what was done to you was right. We're not saying that. But again, we're talking about what unforgiveness is doing to us. Okay, and a side note, if your unforgiveness is wrapped up, hey Shay, Pastor Shay, Pastor Brian, I want to make sure I address you properly. If you're dealing with unforgiveness as a result of a breakup or a divorce or something like that, and it was very harmful, very hurtful, or what have you, if he has moved on, you're holding on to unforgiveness based on the hurt of what was done, based on the hurt, the shame, the embarrassment, the bitterness, whatever it could be, and providing on how fresh it is, you're holding on to it. Why? Like, what are we? I don't want to seem insensitive to it, because sometimes it's justifiable, especially if it's fresh. It does take time. Forgiveness takes time. Forgiveness is hard work, and it takes time, and it takes practice. So I'm not talking about something that's so fresh. But if you find yourself, put it like this, I know a lady that, and this is old, but I know a lady, she had her daughter probably when she was 19, 20. Well, she's in her 40s now. And she's since married somebody else, not the daughter's father. Married a good guy, got another child by him, going on, had good marriage, 15, 20 years worth of marriage, blah, blah, but she was still harboring, or she still had unforgiveness toward her daughter's father for whatever reason. So when I said people have lost their marriages and relationships because of unforgiveness, she had so much unforgiveness toward her daughter's father, who, when she was 19, and she's in her 40s now, and she's been married 15 years, it started to affect the way her husband felt and the way he was looking at her, because he couldn't understand, why are you still holding on to, why are you still worried about him? Why are you still concerned about what he's doing and what he's not doing? Why are you so bent on making sure that you make him look bad when you're with me? This is a husband. It started to dismantle and affect her marriage, and she had to make some serious decisions and changes in her mindset. And this is somebody that I coached years ago. And thank God it didn't ruin their marriage, but she had to make some decisions and come to some awareness of herself. So a lot of times we hold on to stuff like that for years. And why? Like, again, that thing, whatever happened in that relationship back when she was 19, when they were babies, 19, 20 years old, she caused that root to grow. And then her unforgiveness was nourishing it. And she moved on and got married, had a good husband, a beautiful family, doing well, but she's still holding on to, so she had to cut that unforgiveness at the root, because it was still, her unforgiveness for that person was still nourishing and watering that unforgiveness, and it was still keeping it alive. It was feeding it and keeping it alive. Okay, so we want to make sure that we really take an honest assessment and look at any unforgiveness in our lives. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be family members, it could be job, it could be friends, it could be relationships, it could be anything. Forgiveness doesn't have a gender or a specific role or who. It can be anywhere. You can have unforgiveness anywhere. Okay, unforgiveness can turn into emotional strongholds and baggage that can damage any area of your life. Y'all agree with that? How unforgiveness taking root in your life can become an emotional stronghold. Have anybody ever dealt with that? Like you're just unstable. Like whatever that thing is that you refuse to forgive, it's like it has power over your life. Marcy says some people are waiting for, ooh, now Marcy, that's a whole nother message right there. Marcy said some people are waiting on an apology that they may never get. Now that's the painful. Hey Rashida, that's the painful one there, because what if the person that you need an apology from is no longer living? What about that? So now what are you going to do with that? How are you going to get an apology? But yet you're holding on to what they did, what they said, what they didn't do, what have you. How is that affecting your life? How is holding on and waiting to an apology? Sometimes people they don't know how to apologize. Have you ever been in a position where you've done something to somebody and you didn't know how to apologize? Because you knew you were wrong? Or you can't believe you did what you did to that person? We've all been there. Sometimes people don't know how to apologize. And we're waiting on an apology. It doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's right. But sometimes people don't know how to apologize. That's why the scripture tells us in Mark 11 that when we stand in prayer, we have to forgive. Just like God forgave us of our trespasses and our sins, we have to afford that same forgiveness to people. And again, it takes work. It takes practice. I'm not saying people just do us any kind of way and we just forgive. We just toss out forgiveness. I wish it was that easy. I really do. I wish it was that easy. I really do. I had about with you know, I don't know if it was unforgiveness on my part, but I'll just give you a little side note. So everybody know the last couple of years, the whole year of 2021, I went through chemo, double mastectomy, radiation, all of that, blah, 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 blah. So I'm dealing with, hey, Nikita, I'm on the ends of it, right? So everybody know the whole year I've been dealing with cancer, still dealing with cancer, doing good. You know, God is good. So there are quite a major part of my family that didn't even check on me. Now, mind you, I got 3 brothers and sisters living, 2 passed, 1 is incarcerated, and 2 living. Okay, and a bunch of nieces and nephews, all of that. So nobody checked on me at all. Doing, maybe I did get a call over here and a call over there, but few of them never checked, right? Which is fine. But then I would get like Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, a text. Happy Memorial Day. So I'm worth a Labor Day text. Happy Labor Day, happy Memorial Day, happy 4th of July, but not a how you doing? You almost died from cancer. See, that's that right there. What the enemy wants me to do is to take that and stew that and stew that and turn that and make that. Although I did at some point in time now, like Arlene said earlier, that's a process. It takes time. I had to get over some stuff because I was like, wow, I really don't mean nothing to y'all. Like, whoa, it's a hard pill to swallow. So sometimes us operating in unforgiveness is because it's a hard pill to swallow. Like, we just can't believe that, it's hard. So I'm not saying we just tossing out forgiveness because it's so easy. I wish it was that easy, but it's not, and forgiveness is hard. It's hard. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's easy. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I just toss it out when it's time to toss it out. Sometimes it may take a minute because again, Paula Collins, but Paula Hall right here. She can reach back and grab it. And you don't want to reach back and grab something. I want to be pleasing to God. Teresa said, "This is me. I was waiting on an apology from a friend, which messed up my days most of the time. Now we are both past it, one to me." And that's good. That's good. As long as we're working towards forgiveness, it's going to be a forward moving process. But when we are stuck and paralyzed in unforgiveness, and every time that person, place, thing, or work, or job, or whatever it is that we refuse to forgive, every time it rears up, it paralyzes us and it grips us. And again, that root that it has taken in our life is feeding that. So we've got to cut it at the root. And a lot of time, getting to the root of the forgiveness, the unforgiveness, sometimes we have a part to play in that. And that's hard to admit. That's hard to become aware of sometimes. Sometimes we have to look at our own part that we play in the reason that we can't forgive. Again, unforgiveness can turn into emotional stronghold and baggage that can damage a lot of areas of our lives. Unforgiveness allows a root of bitterness to grow, but forgiveness prevents the root of bitterness to grow. Now let me talk about this. I did this teaching a long time ago. Hold on, y'all. For those of you just tuning in, I'm sipping on some tea. I hadn't been feeling good for the last couple of days, so I'm drinking on some tea, lemon and ginger root, and it's doing the job. I don't know if I got a cold or sinus or what, but that's what y'all see me sipping on here. So just excuse me as I take a sip. So let me talk about how we keep unforgiveness. I want to talk about harboring, how we harbor unforgiveness. Y'all know I love definitions. This is how we harbor. Hold on, let me make sure I don't get my stuff mixed all up, y'all. This is how we harbor. This is how we harbor unforgiveness. A harbor is a place of security and comfort. A harbor is a body of water that is protected and deep enough to furnish secure anchorage. So you know how you go, I don't know if y'all saw Finding Nemo when he got to the harbor, and you know, a little place where they keep boats and stuff like that, and they kind of anchor them down where they kind of sit and they stay for a while, you know, but that area is secure for those boats to be anchored down, but it's deep enough for the anchor to go deep enough to hold it in place, hold the boat or the vessel in place. Well, that's what harboring does. To harbor means to keep or anchor down or secure in one's mind or one's heart. Now, again, we're talking about harboring unforgiveness. So think about the area of unforgiveness that we have and how we have anchored it down, how we have secured it down. I'm going somewhere with this. Harbor is to keep it in one's mind. Keep, K-E-E-P. The definition of keep is to have or retain possession of. To cause to continue in a specified condition, position, or course. So this is how we are harboring unforgiveness. We're keeping it in our mind. We are retaining possession of the unforgiveness. We're retaining it. We are harboring it. That's us. That's something that we do. We are causing it to continue a course by way of the root that we have allowed it to take place in our lives. To keep means to preserve or maintain, as to watch over and defend. So just think about, you know, this is unforgiveness here in my arms. I'm gonna go get this baby doll. Hold on, y'all. Y'all know I'm dramatic. Y'all see Foxy? Someone sent me this from, my cousin sent me this from DC last year as I was going through chemo. But just imagine this is unforgiveness. And this is me protecting it and harboring it and rocking it. Okay? I'm preserving it. I'm keeping it. Just imagine this being unforgiveness and how I just rock it. This is how we do unforgiveness. You don't know what they did to me. I can't believe he did this to me, or I can't believe they fired me, or I can't believe they didn't give me the promotion, or I can't believe what they did to me, or that they kept doing this to me, or whatever your unforgiveness is. A lot of times we are keeping the reason for that in a place of security and comfort. Like we're keeping it in our mind. We're keeping it in our heart. We're harboring it. We're keeping possession of it. We're causing it to continue on and take root in our lives over and over and over and over and over, because we won't forgive. We won't let it go. We keep it. We maintain it. We're preserving it. We're watching over it. We defend it, because when people try to point it out, the first thing we say is, well, you don't know what they did to me. Or I feel this way because of blah, 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 blah. Or I've been at this job this long and I deserve blah, 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 blah. Okay, and if it's not happening, it's not happening. If the relationship is over, then it's over. If they didn't do it, they didn't do it. If they should have did it and they didn't, then they didn't. I mean, it's just, we have to get to a place to where we accept what happened. We accept what didn't happen. Because again, forgiveness is about you. How is it affecting your life? Unforgiveness is like drinking poison, looking at the other person or the thing that hurt you or whatever, expecting them to die. You're drinking the poison, not them. It's not hurting them at all. At all. They're going on about their business. But we can't get over it for whatever our reasons are. Okay? Unforgiveness also turns into grudges. A grudge is a persistent feeling of ill will or resentment resulting from a past injury or insult or offense or whatever. Being resentful and unwilling to give or allow. To resent means to feel bitterness toward. So again, we're talking about unforgiveness. Now, unforgiveness, you didn't know that all of this resentment, bitterness, grudges, all of that comes from unforgiveness. It does. It does, because what does unforgiveness do to your system? It affects your heart. It affects your mind, your soul, your thoughts, and that's not healthy. And it controls you, and it dictates your behavior in life as it pertains to whatever it is you don't want to forgive. Bitterness is anger or disappointment. I grew up in a house, grew up in a house with a bitter mama. It ain't cute. It's not cute. To resent means to feel bitterness toward. So again, we're talking about harboring unforgiveness, how we harbor it. To harbor means to keep it in one's heart, keep it in one's mind. Arlene said, I have been bad with a friend for 2 years. I forgave her for the things she said, but I don't want a relationship with her. She was like a sister, but I don't. And again, let me point that out too. Just because we do forgive people, I have forgiven a lot of people, but that don't mean I want them in my life, because certain things didn't change. And when I did forgive and I went back around them, I was still feeling a certain way. Like, even though I forgave them and I gave the relationship another chance, they were still exemplifying the same behaviors. Like, I always felt less than, or I was always belittled, or what have you. So I made the decision, although I did forgive, I made the decision to just cut it, because I'm gonna protect my peace. I am. But what I did have to understand, Arlene, is this: I had to make sure that my forgiveness didn't turn into resentment. Sometimes we can say we forgive somebody, and because we still talk about it over and over, not every now and then, like what we're talking about now. If you find yourself forgiving somebody, but you still talking about what they did, every chance you get to bring it up, blah, 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 blah. Have you really forgiven them? And if you have, has resentment come up? Now, sometimes we can resent people too. But just because we forgive them don't mean we have to deal with them. Okay, let's get that straight. I can forgive you and love you from a distance, but I don't have to deal with you. So we don't want to get that twisted. Just because I forgive you, forgiveness don't mean we have to be a doormat or a punching bag. Doesn't mean that. Forgiveness means I release you. I release you. It's above me now. I release you. Yeah. So that's what forgiveness is. Okay, so don't think because you forgive somebody that you got to deal with them, or you got to be a doormat, or they get to just say and do what you. No. That's in your place. But just make sure it does not turn into resentment. Okay, forgiving is like getting out of debt. There's not a quick fix. You know, it took some of us 20 years to get in debt, and it's gonna take some of us the same amount of time to get out, because they're again within that time frame. That time frame of how the unforgiveness has set in, there are patterns and destructive habits of hurt and frustration and healing of old wounds that just don't go away overnight. Okay, I'm sure, Arlene, for the person that killed your husband, I'm sure that those thoughts and that hurt and that new narrative now that you have been thrust into, you just didn't get to that forgiveness of them overnight. I know you didn't. I'm just going to go out on them and say, I know you didn't. I know it took time. But I'm going to commend you for doing your work, because that is hard. That is hard. And we think we're dealing with some stuff. I'm not dealing with nothing like that. You know, so I commend you for even being able to do that. But something you said earlier was you saying you had to be honest with yourself. And like the Bible tells us, we have to forgive because God forgave us. So if we want to be forgiven by God, we have to afford people forgiveness. And sometimes people don't even know how to apologize. Sometimes people do stuff to you and they don't even realize what they did. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes. But we can't spend our time trying to figure out, well, who knew they did something, and we can't spend our time doing that. We can't. We shouldn't. You shouldn't want to do that. Teresa said, my unforgivable was kept so it would not hurt me anymore, because when I forgive people of something they kept doing, or they continue to think it was okay to keep doing or acting in the same manners, I used to think if I did not forgive, it kept me away from them. Yeah. I'm glad you got over that, because again, just because we forgive people does not mean that we have to be a doormat or put up with whatever they say and do. No, we have to protect our peace. Just make sure you forgive, and make sure you cut that root of unforgiveness. Again, unforgiveness allows the root to grow. A root is what provided the nourishment for your unforgiveness. So get to the root of why you did not forgive, or why you felt like you couldn't forgive, and then cut that. Because once we get to the root of that and cut that, there's no more, you can't feed it anymore. You've released them. You have forgiven. Once you cut the root of unforgiveness, you move into forgiveness. Okay? Real forgiveness comes through honesty and understanding. We gotta take into consideration and be honest with what's really going on in us, that the reason why we can't forgive. Again, it doesn't negate what was said or done to us, relationship wise, heterosexual, whatever the relationship is, husband and wife, siblings, parental relationships, work relationships, friends. It doesn't matter. Forgiveness can go anywhere, but we have to get to the bottom of what's really going on, what's really at the core of why we can't forgive. Why we can't forgive. Again, it depends on how fresh it is, because like I said, you don't just come out of the box. Somebody do something wrong to you, you just, I forgive you, or I forgive you. I don't know anybody that can just do that. I don't know anybody that can do that. And if they can do that, did they start out doing that? Was it a process for them too? Because you got to start somewhere. Again, forgiveness is hard. It takes practice. It takes time. You have to get to a place because you got to get over the hurt. You got to get over the things that whatever was done to you has caused. You have to get over that, and you have to process that. And you got to work that. Now we have to make sure we're not holding on to unforgiveness because it makes us look a certain way, or because we want a pity party. We got to make sure we're not doing that, because now, like I just said, we have to be open and honest with what's really going on. And if that's something that you're doing, you need to ask yourself, why? Why am I trying to draw attention to myself by holding on to unforgiveness, by harboring to keep it safe and keep it comfortable so that it can be anchored deep? Why am I holding on to it? Okay. If you can't be honest with yourself, then you won't be able to make the changes that it's going to take for you to forgive and move on with your life. That's one thing it's going to take for you to move from unforgiveness to forgiveness, is being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself. This is a self-reflection. And you have to look at why you are not forgiving. I'm not going to say why you didn't choose to forgive, because every unforgiveness is not a choice. A lot of it is. You have to choose to forgive. But I don't think all situations are a matter of choice. You have to kind of come to a realization of areas of unforgiveness in your life. And then once you come to the awareness or the realization of unforgiving areas in your life, then you can make that choice. Okay? As long as we have unforgiveness, you'll be triggered by the person or thing that you won't forgive, meaning you're going to be bitter every time. You're going to exemplify bitterness, resentment, anger every time this thing comes up, or this person comes up, or this whatever. You're going to display unforgiveness or bitterness or resentment or anger toward this thing every time, as long as you operate in unforgiveness. Again, we're talking about how we harbor it, how we keep it safe. A harbor is a place of security and comfort. And a lot of us have taken the things that have been done to us and we sowed it deep. We allowed it, because of the unforgiveness, allows it to take root and so deep into our heart and our mind. And then we're operating from that place. And that can ruin relationships. It can ruin all kinds of things because you're operating in unforgiveness. And again, unforgiveness allows a root of bitterness to grow. It allows it. Whether you think you can handle it or not, whether you show your unforgiveness or not, it's still growing, and it's allowing the root of bitterness to take root in your life. And then rootedness comes bitterness, hatred, resentment, all of this stuff attached to it. So you want to get to the place to where you get to the bottom of the root cause of your unforgiveness and cut it at the root, so you can be whole and free and deal with what you're feeling from the inside out. Because nobody deserves to live bound by unforgiveness. Again, it doesn't take away what someone did to you. You could be justified in your feelings of unforgiveness. But you got to get to a place, if you find that you are harboring it, and that every chance you get, you operating from it, or you're trying to make this person look bad, so you look, all of this, and you're worth more than that. Your life is worth more than that. So when you find yourself operating in that, you need to take an honest assessment on what you're dealing with. Okay? Unforgiveness is toxic. It's like drinking poison, and that spreads throughout your whole body. You can't hold on to bitterness toward a person and expect it to harm them. It doesn't work. Like if you drop some ink in a glass of water, that ink is going to eventually spread and stain the whole thing. So it's just one little drop, and it's going to eventually stain that whole glass of water. It's going to turn that whole glass of water. And that's exactly what unforgiveness does. It rears its head up. It does that. It shows up. Whether you try to hide it or not, it's going to show up. Ephesians 4:31 tells us to get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. It tells us that. It tells us to be kind and tenderhearted, forgiving one another, just as Christ forgave us. That's in Ephesians 4:31. So we have to get rid of these things. God is telling us to get rid of these things because, it's not healthy to our bodies. It's not. I think bitterness breeds sickness and hatred and anger and all of that. Forgiveness is a choice, y'all. Forgiveness is a choice. Let's talk about the anger of forgiveness. Very often, anger is associated with an unforgiving spirit. Many people are angry and don't even realize it. Y'all ever met some angry people? That's just how they are. That's just how they are. Always angry. They're deeply frustrated and upset about something all the time. All the time. They're mad at what happened yesterday and bitter about the things that occurred years ago. And we all get angry. We all get angry. We all have been bitter. We've all been mad. We've all operated in unforgiveness. All of that. But how do we deal with it? We can't let it fester. We can't let it take root. When you find yourself in a position where you have to make a decision to forgive, we need to make that decision as soon as possible, because when we don't and we let it fester, now we are allowing the root of unforgiveness to begin to take root. And that's where we look up years later, and now we've been dealing with unforgiveness for 20 years and not really knowing how we got here, because we never really addressed the issue. You can't just allow it to just have its way. When you find yourself at a decision making point to where you have to forgive or not, you want to address that as soon as possible, because if you don't, it is going to take root, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow in all areas of your life, and then it's going to turn into emotional bondage and all of that, and we don't want that. A lot of times we operate in unforgiveness. We don't forgive because we're always blaming others as our way to justify why we don't forgive. How many people have blamed the other person as the reason they can't forgive? I can't forgive him because just what he did, or I can't forgive her because of this, or I'll never forgive them, and that. But that's hurting you because they're going on. Often we refuse to forgive because we feel that not forgiving them is our payback to them. How is not forgiving somebody for doing something to you payback to them? Like, how is unforgiveness in you hurting them? I'll wait. If anybody got an answer to how that works, we need to understand that it doesn't. Unforgiveness tortures us. It doesn't torture them. When we refuse to forgive, our unforgiveness keeps us emotionally stuck to both the offense or the offender. So whoever it is you refuse to forgive, when you operate in unforgiveness, it keeps you emotionally stuck to them or the situation. Stuck. Again, it keeps you. Like we gave the definitions, to keep means to preserve or maintain, to watch over and defend. So when we refuse to forgive, we're keeping that thing alive. We're giving it. We're still harboring it, and we're feeding it, and we're keeping it alive. And now we're still stuck to the situation. Although the situation happened years ago, whatever, we're still stuck to it because we refuse to forgive. This is how damaging unforgiveness is. And then we got children we're passing this mess down to, whether we think we're not. We are. We are. Anybody got kids that have done something that they ain't never seen you do? You think they ain't never seen you do? And it showed up in them. Yeah, because they see it. They see it. They see it. Are you bitter and nursing past wrongs? Nursing means to provide care for. So are we providing care for our unforgiveness? The reason for our unforgiveness? Like we harboring it. Are we providing care for it? Are we taking care of it? Let me ask you this. In your unforgiveness, are you grudge collecting? That's the definition by itself. Are we grudge collecting? Are we carrying around a load of unforgiveness like a sack of cement in a bag on our back all day long? Are you grudge collecting? Just think about it. These are questions to ask yourself in your unforgiveness. Again, you're looking at the areas that you have not forgiven, that you're struggling in your forgiveness on, or that your areas of unforgiveness. Are you grudge collecting? Are you putting them in the bag, keeping them, collecting them? For what? For what? How is your unforgiveness paying back them? Like it's not. Or not. And again, I hope we're saying something tonight that's gonna help you become aware of any areas in your life that you are not operating in forgiveness, or if you are just operating in unforgiveness, what that's doing to you. Hopefully you can gain some insight on how you need to move from unforgiveness to forgiveness. Forgiveness is not easy. Most of the people that hurt us are usually closest to us, like our spouse, our friends, our siblings, parents, all of that. And when we're hurt by someone we love and trust, whether it's a lie, a betrayal, rejection, abuse, or whatever, it is extremely difficult to overcome. And a lot of times the feelings of this hurt can start out small, and if it's not dealt with, it will go bigger and bigger. And even the minor offenses can turn into huge conflicts over time. Again, like I said, if you find yourself in a position to either make a decision to forgive, do that as soon as possible so it won't turn into a major offense or a major stronghold later in your life. Arlene said, but I didn't know how to address the unforgiveness. I was just angry. Yeah, somebody said, I am guilty of babysitting. Yeah, we all have, Rashida. We all have nursed it and given it life and fed our unforgiveness and harbored it. And yeah, because of, again, sometimes we're in shock about what somebody did to us, and we just, I was this to you, and sometimes we can't get over that. And it's the can't get over that is what causes it to take root. So again, we have to get to the root of why we won't forgive and cut it there so it won't happen again. Because once you cut that root, now you move from unforgiveness to forgiveness. Holding on to pain and grudges and bitterness affects the areas of our lives negatively. And if we don't deal with it, we run the risk of bringing it into every relationship or new experience we have. You ever talk to somebody and the first thing they start doing is talk about somebody who hurt them. Every time you talk to them, they talk about this person. They're hurt and they're operating in unforgiveness, and they may not even realize it. Our lives can be so wrapped up in hurt and pain and unforgiveness that we can't enjoy the present. That's that person. Sometimes we're so wrapped up in hurt and unforgiveness and pain, bitterness, jealousy, envy, resentment, grudges, that we can't even enjoy the present. We can't even enjoy what we have now. Getting the other person to change their actions or behaviors or words is not the point of forgiveness. That's not how you're going to forgive, by trying to get them to change. Getting them to notice us or trying to prove to them that we're okay or unbothered or that we've moved on to is not how you're going to get over unforgiveness. That's not how that works. Keeping the children from them. No, y'all ever seen that? Who does that hurt? The child. It doesn't hurt it. It hurts the child, but you're using that as a pawn because you're hurt. Now, if they're not in the right mind frame to be with the kids, that's a different story. But we're talking about unforgiveness and what we do with unforgiveness. Forgiveness is a choice. When you find yourself operating in these types of behaviors, or when you notice that area in your life, again, I say sometimes when we respond to certain things, if you ask yourself, like, why did I respond to that way? Sometimes our response to certain things is an unhealed version of us that's saying, hey, I need some attention. I need some healing. So pay attention to some of the ways you respond to certain things. some of the thoughts you have in your mind as it pertains to certain areas, certain people, certain places, certain things, because that could be an unhealed area of your own life that said, hey, I need some attention, I need some healing. So don't always just overlook that or just say, well, that's just how I am, that's just how I think. Pay attention to that, because again, PC Ministries, we deal with what we feel from the inside out, and a lot of those things people don't normally see, but they're still damaging us emotionally in our mind, our body, our spirit, our soul. And, and we are beautiful people, but we got so much bondage on the inside of us that's keeping us from the abundant life that God gave His only begotten Son for, and that we might have life and life more abundantly. But we're not living an abundant life, dealing with this emotional bondage and unforgiveness and things like that. That's not abundance. So as we move toward forgiveness, I pray that you guys can, that we all can recognize our areas of unforgiveness and then begin to get to the root of it and move to forgiveness. Again, forgiveness is a choice. Forgiveness is not based on your feelings, and it is not conditional. Y'all hear me? Forgiveness is not conditional. Forgiveness is very much unconditional. Very much unconditional, because it's not based on what they do or don't do, or even if they deserve it. Half of the time, the people that we need to forgive don't even deserve forgiveness. But like I said, it's not going to, Marcy said, forgiving someone restores our peace. You're absolutely right. And it's a choice. We have to protect our peace. And again, like I just said, forgiveness is a choice, and it's not based on our feelings. It is not, excuse me, y'all. It is not conditional. It is very much unconditional. It is not based on what they do or what they don't do, or if they even deserve to be forgiven. Half of the time they don't. Again, forgiveness frees you. It frees us. Me holding on to unforgiveness don't do nothing for the person that I refuse to forgive. Okay? So we have to make a decision to release them. Release it. Let it go. Release your resentment. Resentment is bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly, hurt, or offense. That's resentment. So we have to release it. To resent means to express or exhibit displeasure. So make sure that if you have forgiven someone, if you continue to talk about it, or if you still get a rise out of it some kind of way, make sure you have not moved into resentment. Marcy said your thoughts will definitely bring attention to your insecurities. You must take care of harbor. Yes, ma'am. And again, we talked about harboring. Harbor is a place of security and comfort, a body of water. Look at the definition. Harbor is a body of water protected and deep enough to furnish secure anchorage. So when we harbor unforgiveness, we place it in our heart and our mind in a place to where we keep it safe, and then we cause it to anchor deep into our soul, and then we keep it in our heart, we keep it in our mind, we retain possession of it. We're talking about the hurt and the bitterness and the resentment and the unforgiveness. We retain possession of it, and we cause it to continue a course in our life, causing it to take root. And that's how we harbor it. We don't want to let it go, because sometimes we take solace in it. Sometimes we sit back and people will tell you to get over it. The first thing we say, well, you don't know what they did to me. Or it's hard for you. It would be easy for you, Arlene, with the man or gentleman that murdered your husband, for you to say, I can't forgive them because they murdered my husband. That would be easy for you to say. That would be justifiable, so, and wouldn't nobody say a thing, because look at what happened. But what is that doing to you? That's going to keep you sick. That's going to keep you held to what happened, and you'll never be able to heal or move forward the way God will have you move forward from it, because God ain't going to move you forward. You're going to have to release that in order for God to move you forward. So again, forgiveness is very much unconditional. It's not predicated upon them even deserving forgiveness. So you can get that out your mind. Half of the time they don't even deserve it. But we forgive because it frees us. It gives us peace. A lot of times when we're dealing with hurt, and I'm getting ready to close, when we're dealing with hurt, we have to allow the hurt. We have to allow it. And I'm not saying it's easy to do, but we have to allow it. It's okay to hurt, but we have to allow the hurt to come and go, and then dive into it. Cry it out as much as you need to. Crying is a powerful tool of release. It is. You should try it. Just let yourself cry. Scream, holler, whatever. Punch something. Get you a punching bag. I got one. And just punch every now and then. I get really upset sometimes with cancer. Like, I just can't believe this. I can't believe I'm here. And I hate it here. I do. I thank God for this platform. But I do not like dealing with this, taking this medicine, and my life has changed. And I get really angry sometimes. I do. And I don't even know who or what to forgive. I just get angry. So if y'all can tell a sister who to forgive as it pertains to this, yeah. A little humor. But sometimes we have to cry. When you feel hurt, make sure you feel it because you want to, and not because someone is making you feel it. Okay? We are not holding on to unforgiveness for pity parties. We're not holding on to unforgiveness for attention seeking. So if that is you, you want to address that. Address the root cause of that. Why are we doing that? Why do you feel holding on to unforgiveness to be noticed works? It doesn't work. It doesn't do anything for the person or the thing that you refuse to forgive. It doesn't. So when you walk in forgiveness, it means that you are not looking for vengeance. It means that you are not trying to get even or trying to get revenge. That is not walking in forgiveness. Walking in forgiveness means you are free. You have released the person, place, or thing or situation that is causing you to operate in unforgiveness. Again, to unforgiveness wants a dominant place in your heart. It wants to have a dominant place, and that is not healthy. That is not what God wants for us. That is not what God wants for us. Okay? So, again, get to the root. I'm looking for my note on the roots. Get to the root of unforgiveness. The root is the part of the unforgiveness that nourishes it, that keeps it alive, that feeds your unforgiveness. You want to get to the bottom of why you feel you can't forgive. How hard it is, or the difficulty wrapped up in why you can't forgive. Again, unforgiveness allows the root of bitterness to grow. Hatred, grudges, anger, all of that is wrapped up in unforgiveness. And you want to release those thoughts. You want to release the person, the place, the thing, the people, the family members, whatever it is that you refuse to believe. You want to get to the place to where you can release that, because holding on to that is not healthy for you. God gave his only begotten son that we might have life, and life more abundantly. And living in unforgiveness is not abundant living. It's not. Living in unforgiveness does not do anything to the person, the thing, or the place, or whatever it is that you refuse to forgive. It don't do anything to them. It wraps you up. It has you in emotional bondage. It has you in bitterness. It has you in resentment. It has you looking crazy. It has you looking bitter. It has you looking jealous. It has you looking like that. So you want to get to the bottom of why we can't forgive. You want to get to the bottom of why you won't forgive. You want to get to the bottom of, if you don't forgive because you are attention seeking and you think it makes you look a certain way every time you talk about this thing or whatever, you want to get to the bottom of that, because you don't deserve that. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be whole on the inside. Again, 2 Corinthians 10 and 5 tells us to take every thought captive, demolish every high thing that exalts itself, sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. We have a chance to do something about all of our thoughts that are not pleasing to God before they enter our hearts and become a part of us. So again, this area of unforgiveness, we have a chance to take those thoughts and those feelings captive before they become a part of us. And if you find that unforgiveness has become a part of you and it has taken root in your life, let's talk about it. Inbox me. Y'all know I'm a transformation coach. I deal with what we feel from the inside out. That's my plug. And we can get to the bottom of these roots. And if I can't help you with it, there's some therapists and some counselors that probably can take it to the next level. But again, we want to get to the bottom of why we can't forgive, why we choose not to forgive, and why it's so hard for us to forgive. Again, getting to the root, getting to the reason why we are harboring unforgiveness is not healthy. It is not healthy. So again, I thank you all for tuning in tonight. I don't think we need a part two. I think we got to the bottom of it, and it's only 9:09, so we gotta go. But I think we did good. So I don't think there needs to be a part two. I don't think, unless y'all want a part two on it. I don't think there needs to be. But again, I thank you all for tuning in to PC Ministries, where we deal with what you feel from the inside out. I pray something was said tonight that will cause you to think, cause you to dive deep into your thought box. Hopefully nobody's grudge collecting and operating in unforgiveness. And if you are, I pray that we gave you some tools tonight that'll help you get to the root cause of why you are not forgiving, why you're operating in unforgiveness. And again, if I can be of any assistance to anybody in dealing with anything like this, please look me up on PC Ministries Facebook page. I'm a transformation coach. All of my prices and all that stuff is there. Look me up. I have a free consult we can do to see if there's something that I can help you with, or if I will be able to help you with. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next Thursday with another good topic. And again, if there are any topics that you all would like for me to talk about, put them in the comments, inbox me, text them to me, and I'll do my best to get them in the rotation. Again, I love you all. Thank you all for your communication, your input, your interaction tonight. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for supporting PC Ministries. Please share the video for people who can see it, and continue support. I love y'all. Thank y'all. Have a good night. Hey, Gwen. Thank you, Marcy. Have a good night, y'all.